A very good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's Redington virtual sessions. Today's topic we have Veeam on Azure journey, which will be delivered by Shoaib and Sunny. During the session, if you have any questions, I request you to please put them in the Q&A tab on your left, and they will be answered towards the end of the session. Over to you, Shoaib. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Chanakya. Hello, all guys. Good morning. My name is Shoaib, and I handle the Azure pre-sales part for Redington Gulf. And so, in this webinar series that we are doing today, it's gonna be Veeam on Azure. So now, in this session, we're gonna touch base a bit about Veeam backup, a bit about Azure, and then why it's important to take your Office 365 backup and why it's important to take a third copy of your backup of your on-premises virtual machine, and we will make it with Veeam, a journey on Azure. So now, and we have few bundle offerings for you that, if you take a bundle offering for Veeam of Office 365 backup on Azure and Veeam of virtual machine backups on Azure, the pricing and how it works, and at the end, we're going to have a demo as well. So now with me on the call, we have Sunny. He is our technical expert for Veeam, and of course, he has expertise on Azure in terms of demo for the backup. So now Sunny will be going to the slides and then, of course, the demo as well. And as said, please feel free to ask any questions, put it in the Q&A. Thank you, guys. So we will be in touch during the call, and I'll just hand it over to Sunny.
Thanks, Shoaib. Thanks for the intro. Good morning, everyone. As Shoaib mentioned, my name is Sunny. I take care of Veeam pre-sales. In today's agenda, mostly we'll talk about the data protections, especially in the backup world. We always, keep our data safe, protected by doing a backup on different media. So today we'll understand that using Veeam, how we can protect our data onto an Azure cloud with the technologies which are being provided by Veeam, and why is it important to keep a backup of your data, right? So firstly, we will start with why. Why the backup is required. What is the importance of backup? So generally, if you talk about a backup, in if I say in a layman language, it's a copy of your data which is sitting in another media. And why you need a backup, right? So backup is a very important part of any organization. So if you talk about your application data, if you talk about your virtual data, if you talk about any kind of data sitting in your environment, it's always advisable to have a copy of your data because of so many reasons, right? So in today's world, you can see lots of attacks are happening, lots of ransomware things are happening. Maybe sometimes it's an application issue. There are lots of different factors which includes a different phenomena with the help of which you are supposed to take a backup. So these are a couple of bullet points which we have mentioned in here. uh, First and foremost important point why you need to do a backup is called data loss prevention, right? So you want to make sure that the data, especially your business data, which is being generated by your applications, which is being generated by your emails and all, that data needs to be prevented, right? So to prevent that data, you need to make sure that data is safeguarded, right? Because in today's world, data is everything, right? So if your data is safeguarded, it means your business is running. And again, the most important point, hackers, you need to make sure that your data is secured from hackers, from viruses, from ransomware attacks. Then you can see, you also have to consider the possibilities of physical disasters. What happens if the entire geolocation is down? You need to create your DR sites. You need to have another data center wherein your workloads can run, right? Then the longer term data which is archiving. You need to make sure, because nowadays every day you are generating loads of amounts of data and the size of the data is growing, so you need to make sure that data is safeguarded somewhere in archive place, right? So these all are the factors which gives you and feasibility to have a backup in your environment. If you understand that the data for your company is important, then you always need to take care of your data by keeping a backup of your data. So in if I say in a layman language, if we are using a laptop, in laptop also we generate lots of files, right? These are our user files. To safeguard those files, what we do, we always keep a copy of our data somewhere in the USB or somewhere in the hard disk. Similarly, in your data center world, when we are talking about applications, the enterprise applications, what we do a backup using backup softwares and keep that data available in some some other formats, in some other medias, with the help of backups and all. So all in all, the importance backup in today's world is mandatory. When you design a data center solution, backup is the most important part. And how you can leverage, in today's world we have cloud vendors, right? The Azure part, how you can utilize Azure to create an backup environment to make sure that your data is available 24 by 7 by 365 days. How you can leverage that we will talk about in coming slides. So our main funda is to make sure, if we are using a proper backup practice, then what we are achieving, the business availability. Business availability means if your data is available to you, your business will run 24 by 7 by 365 days, right? So how you can achieve this? So we'll talk about this. Now, before going into this, I believe most of you are already aware of 3-2-1 rule, right? If you are following IT industry practices, if it is a backup scenario, then you always need to keep 3-2-1 rule enabled. 3-2-1 rule is a very simple rule. If you are following that rule, it means your backup, if it means your data is safeguarded, means you are safeguarded from the events which are happening, you are safeguarded from the ransomware attacks, you are safeguarded from physical disasters, or you have the availability of your data whenever you want, in the form in the form of, like, say, virtual form, in the form of the physical form. Everything is possible. So what is 3-2-1 rule? It's a very simple rule. We always say keep 3 copies of your production data, right? So you have one production data which is being generated by your data, which is generated by your physical servers, virtual machines, emails, SharePoints, anything. So that you need to, if you want to be 100% safeguarded from the external factors which are happening nowadays, you have to keep 3 copies of your data. This is mandatory, right? Then what you need to do, you need to keep it on 2 different formats, on 2 different medias, right? One may be onto a disk, one may be on some other DR site, or maybe somewhere onto the cloud storage, or maybe onto the tape drives. Means depends on you. It should be 2 different medias. Then last, one should be offsite, means which does not have any reachability to that site. Once the data is being written there, nobody else can modify it, or that is a different location. To reach that location, you need to put some effort onto it. So if you have a primary data center, if you have a secondary data center, you can keep a third copy onto your secondary data center. So in today's world, everybody is aware of the public cloud, right? Public cloud is what it's and most secured data center provided by one of the most leading vendors. So if you talk about Microsoft, the Azure data center, I'm sure, is the most secure data center in the world. And if you want to create your kind of cold DR into your Azure data center using Veeam, it's very much possible. So what we are saying that to justify this 3-to-1 rule using Veeam, you can leverage all those platforms from one single centralized console, right? So how to do it, how to do this, let's talk about a bit in detail. So to start with, if we consider a SaaS model, right, software as a service model, which is Office 365, which is very popular nowadays. I believe every next organization is using Office 365 for their email services, right? And most of most of the organization are under the impression that Office 365 is a service which is being provided by Microsoft, and Microsoft takes care of everything, right? The service is sitting in cloud, service is sitting in Microsoft data center, and our data, our service is 100% safeguarded by Microsoft. But guys, in actual, this is not the case. So what happened? Just assume a scenario, right? You have your Office 365 infrastructure in place. Your email systems are working. You are sending emails on daily basis and all. These are couple of factors which are being mentioned on the slides, which can happen to anybody, any IT admin, any organization at any point of time, right? Talk about the accidental deletion, right? What will happen by mistake if you have deleted one important email, right, from your Exchange management console or from your mailboxes? What will happen, right? What will happen with your backup of Office 365 email boxes, right? What will happen if you want to protect your Office 365 data center? So guys, just wanted to tell you one thing. What Microsoft gives you as an Office 365 service, they give you an SLA of 99.9% to make sure that the service which you are using is 100% available, right? Which means your Office 365 service, your email service, your OneDrive service, SharePoint service is 100% available. But Microsoft does not give you any guarantee that the data which you are generating using those services is being protected by Microsoft, right? The responsibility of data is your thing. You are responsible for your data. You need to protect your data. You need to make sure that you have a copy of your data available in case of any disaster, or in case you require it at later stage, right? So what does it mean? That when you are generating emails on daily basis, right, Microsoft does not keep a backup of the entire mailboxes for the entire year, right? Microsoft keeps it for couple of days, which is either 30, 60 or 90 days. After that they delete that data, right? So what you need to do as an IT admin or as a solution consultant, you need to make sure that this data is backed up regularly, either onto a cloud or on premise. Both ways it's possible, right? So what you need to do, remember 3-to-1 rule. You have one production copy of your data available in Office 365 data center, which is Microsoft. So Microsoft does not give you any guarantee that the data will be secure. So to safeguard that data, you need to keep another copy of that data. So what you can do, you can back up your Office 365 data using Veeam Backup for Office 365 in either onto a cloud environment or onto an on-premise environment, right? So these are couple of the factors for which you need an Office 365 backup. So if you talk about the internal security threats, right, the malicious attack, the spoofing attacks on the emails which are happening, that Microsoft does not take care. So to safeguard that, what you need to do, you need to keep a copy of your backup somewhere in another location, right? External security threats, legal and compliance requirements. So in Office 365 world, what happens? You are using the licenses provided by Microsoft Office 365 to use mailboxes. So what happened once the user had left the company, and you are utilizing the same license to give it to somebody else. So what you do, once you utilize that license, you are deleting the mailbox of that previous user, but you need to do a backup of that user. So what you need to do for legal and compliance purpose, you can do a backup of that user using Veeam backup for Office 365 mailboxes and keep your data according to your retention policies in a different location, right? And the last part is the hybrid deployments, the hybrid migrations, right? So lots of organizations are using hybrid infrastructure wherein their mailboxes are half of the mailboxes are running on Office 365 and half of it are running on on-premise exchange. That also needs to be backed up and that also needs to be secured, right? So how we do it. So this is what the shared responsibility model provided by Microsoft. What Microsoft clearly says, that if you see on the top of the slide, that Microsoft will take care of the geo redundancy. Means Microsoft will take care that if you are using Office 365 services, if one data center goes down, automatically it would be failed over to secondary data center. You will not see any hiccup in your mail flow, in your SharePoint flow. Means this will run as it is, the way it is running. It will make sure that the service which you are using is 100% highly available, right? It's geo redundant. So guys, just be careful. We are talking about the service, not the data. If you come on the bottom, which is your responsibility is to make sure your data is safeguarded. Data which is being generated by your emails, your SharePoints, your Office, your OneDrive. Yeah. So all that data needs to be secured by yourself. Then the security part, which is the most important part, right? So if you talk about the data center security of Office 365, which is Microsoft, that physical security, they are taking care of it, right? Nobody can enter into that data center. It's highly secured and all. But when it comes to data security, the ransomware attacks, the external factors who are keep pushing lots of ransomware things using different medias, different things on your emails, and once it is encrypted, then your entire data has been compromised. So you need to make sure that data is also being secured. How do you This is again your responsibility. How you can do this? You can do it by keeping another copy of your data somewhere in the safe location, right? So for the regulatory purpose, right, if you see the data privacy, means Microsoft gives you a guarantee that the data which is being presented in the data center is 100% 100% regulated by them. It's their responsibility, but they don't keep it for forever. But as a owner, you need to keep the data safeguarded because it's your business at the end of the day, right? So what in all, if you see the conclusion of Office 365, so what Microsoft says, it's a software as a service wherein Microsoft gives you 100% availability of the services of Office 365, and the data availability is the responsibility of the owner, and owner has to take care of the data with the help of 3-2-1 rule. So using Veeam Backup Office 365, you can keep a copy of your data on premise, and again you can integrate it with Azure Blob platforms, which I'm going to show you in my small demo, how you can achieve and justify 3-2-1 rule using Azure Blob. Yeah. So now as we speak, that to justify 3-2-1 rule, we have public cloud platforms available, and one of the leading platform is Microsoft Azure, right? Everybody is aware of the Azure factor, what Azure does. So with Veeam, we have created an integration with the Microsoft Azure tenant, so that integration can be used as a Microsoft Azure blob integration. That integration can be used in the main Azure tenant as a virtual machine, which I'm going to show you in my demo, how Azure as a public cloud platform can be leveraged using Veeam backup software to make sure that your data is available 24 by 7, right? So if we are talking about public cloud, what is public cloud? What is Azure? Azure is a Microsoft data center which is being used for so many purposes, right? So if you see a couple of bullet points we have presented in the slide, you can use Microsoft Azure to offload your on-premise backed up data. Remember 3-to-1 rule. One needs to go offsite. That offsite can be your Azure data center. That offsite can be your Azure blob storages, right? How you can utilize this feature, I will explain you in the demo. Scale easily. You don't have to worry for anything. Right now, let's say you have bought 1 TB space. Later, your size of the data grows. Instantly, within clicks, you can scale up. You don't have to call the hardware vendors. You don't have to design a topology. You don't have to see for any hardware compatibility. Everything is being taken care by Microsoft. You just need to click on expand and it's done. So within seconds you have scaled up your infrastructure, right? Keep data secure. If you talk about the security of your data in Azure data center, I am 100% sure that Microsoft would be the leading vendor who takes care of security very well. I'm sure everybody is aware of the fact that Microsoft is the most secure vendor. And if you are keeping a copy of your data on Azure data center, this would be 100% secure. Then along with it, Microsoft Azure also gives you centralized monitoring and management. There will be one Azure management console wherein you can see everything, how many IOPS you are running, how many resources you are using. All those things are being taken care automatically, and you can see it also. Everything is transparent. Along with it, the most important part is your application consistent backup, right? When Veeam does the backup, Veeam always does an application consistent backup of the workload. And application consistent backup is the most important part which you need to consider while designing your backup or DR strategy. So along with it, when Veeam does a backup, the copy of that backup or the primary backup is also application consistent, which means that if you want to restore any workload onto an Azure, right? So that workload is 100% recoverable, means you don't have to worry about it. So that application consistent backup on Azure is very well being taken care by Veeam and Azure both. You can use Microsoft Azure for short term of backup or for longer term of backup. So what does it mean? That in Azure you have two types of storages. One is your managed disk, second is your blob disk, right? So the managed disk is little bit costlier, it gives you more IOPS, and your blob disk is the most cheapest disk available, right? So what you can do, you can configure your backup infrastructure in such a way that the most recent restore point can sit on managed disk and the longer term restore points can sit on blob, Azure blob storages, right? You can design it both ways. Guys, in public cloud platforms, especially in Azure, using Veeam, you have so many methods to design your backup infrastructure in such a way that you don't have to spend on your DR side. In public cloud itself, you can create a full-fledged DR, a kind of cold DR using Azure platform, which will save money to you to create a DR site, and it will give you a 100% relaxation in terms of the security, in terms of the management, in terms of the capex versus opex model. Everything is being taken care by Microsoft here, right? So again, automatic storage management. If your storage is going down or if your storage is getting full, you can increase it with the clicks. We have multiple storages option. As I said in the beginning, you have managed disk available, you have block storages available. You can choose according to your requirement. You can design the whole infrastructure. I'm sure if you have some requirement related with this, Shoaib can design your Azure infrastructure in such a way that it would be cost effective. We can do a mix and match of managed disk plus Azure blob for your backup environment. And the most convenient thing, that the data center is available in UAE. The latency, right? Everybody was afraid of the latency part. So now Microsoft had already opened the data center in UAE, and which provides you better visibility, lower latency of your data, higher throughput. All those things are possible using using Azure. So Veeam on Azure, it's an integrated product which can be used. So you can leverage Azure platform for your backed up data to create your cold DR. All those things are possible using Veeam on Azure part. Now, if you talk about the integrations, right? The Veeam integration. So we are talking about Veeam on Azure. So with the latest versions which are being released by Veeam, which is version 10, and if I talk about Office 365, it's called version 4, right? So if I talk about Office 365, the beauty of Veeam product is that I can directly integrate Microsoft Azure Blob Storage with with Veeam Backup for Office 365, and I can justify 3-to-1 rule. I can keep a copy of my backed up data onto Azure Blob without doing any side-to-side VPN configuration. Guys, how cool is it? You don't have to go to subnets, you don't have to create a side-to-side VPN. Automatically everything is being taken care by Veeam. What you need to do, just in the Veeam Backup Office 365 main console, you need to give the username and the password of your Azure Blob Storage, which is being provided by Microsoft. Just do that. Your entire blob storages will be visible in Veeam Backup for Office 365 console, and automatically Veeam will create a copy of your backup on Azure Blob. Okay. The advantages. What are the advantages to keep a copy onto the blob? Man, we remember we have discussed about 3-to-1 rule. So 3 copies of your data. So one you need to keep it on to another site. So in this scenario, you are keeping a 1 copy safeguarded in Azure data center in Azure blob. In case your primary data center goes down, still you have Azure blob available, and you can browse that Azure blob and you can recover any amount of data, any mailbox, any single mailbox whenever you want, right? Leverage unlimited scalability. Azure Blob, you can scale up till unlimited. You don't have any limitation onto it. Means it's your data. You want to keep it safeguarded for years, and you don't have to worry about any hardware, upgradation and all. Everything will be taken care by Microsoft. If the storage is being phased out, Microsoft will take care of it. You don't have to worry about it. Your data is still safeguarded. Microsoft is giving you an SL, right? Simplify deployment in the public cloud. It's very simple, guys. It's just 2 or 3 clicks, to configure your Azure blob storage in Veeam Backup Office 365 console. So once you are doing those clicks, you are done with it. You don't have to do any rocket science. You don't need to know Azure, Microsoft Azure very well. You don't need to know Veeam Backup Office 365 very well. It's just a couple of clicks presented in the GUI mode. You just need to know the username and password and the policy which you need to configure. That's it, guys. You are done with it. So what does it mean? That in all, if you see a conclusion, with Veeam Backup for Office 365, you can keep a copy of your backup onto an Azure blob without doing any hassle. Yeah. Now Veeam, right? The previous slide was for Veeam Backup for Office 365. But Veeam is doing other things as well, right? Veeam does virtualization backup, Veeam does cloud backup, Veeam does physical workload backups. So if you see, in all, this is the whole and soul portfolio of Veeam. If you see in the middle, there is some tool called backup and replication. Backup and replication is the main tool provided by Veeam, which does backup and replication with the same centralized management console. I can do a cloud backup, I can do a virtual backup, I can do a physical backup. So if you talk about a data center, in your data center, maybe these three types of workloads are presented. Maybe you are running Azure virtual machines, wherein you are running your critical workloads. Then you are running maybe a virtualization. You are running Microsoft Hyper-V, right? That Hyper-V is also running couple of critical workloads on premise. Then you are running couple of physical servers, maybe Windows Server 2019, which is running maybe Active Directory, or maybe a file server, which is again running on premise, right? So what happened with this, all these three workloads, right? You need to take a backup of this workload. This should be application consistent. This should be recovered as soon as possible, right? So to do this, what you need to do, you need to keep a copy of the backup, right? So to do that, what you need to do, you can use a Veeam using application consistent backup, and you can keep a copy onto an Azure platform in the form of Azure Blob, in the form of Azure virtual machines. Both ways it's possible. So what it means, if you have all these three workloads running, the first and foremost point is backup and recovery. Recover anything, anywhere, at any time. Recover anything, recover any workload, whether it is running on cloud, virtual, or physical. Anywhere means I can recover it onto an Azure, I can recover it onto a virtual platform, I can recover it as a bare metal recovery at any time. Any point of time I can do this. What does it mean? If I'm running a virtual machine on premise and my on premise data center is down, I can recover it, directly restore it to Microsoft Azure. In my demo, I am going to show you logs wherein I have restored one virtual machine sitting on premise, and using restore to Azure, I have directly restored it to an Azure platform, and that machine has booted up as a virtual machine in Azure itself without doing anything. Means I have not created any side to side VPN. Veeam had done this automatically, right? The second point is the cloud mobility part. Veeam gives you a flexibility to transport your data between cloud and on-premise, right? We can do restore, we can migrate your data, we can protect your data both ways, from cloud to on-premise, from on-premise to cloud. Both ways it's possible. Then your monitoring part. Veeam also does monitoring of your virtual and backed up infrastructure using Veeam One, which is a very nice tool. It gives you a deep visibility of your virtual infrastructure with almost 200 inbuilt templates, which can be utilized for the capacity planning, forecasting. The machine is being underutilized. You can customize your parameters depends on your requirement. You can create business dashboard, business views. All those things are possible using Veeam One. A very nice tool being used by lots of enterprises for the monitoring purpose. Then you have the fourth tool, which is orchestration. The orchestration is a separate product. It's being used to document your DRs. This is also being used wherein you need to know the latency, wherein you need to know the failover plans of your DR site. Then also you can use Veeam for the governance and the compliance purpose, right? The GDPR thing. So you need to keep a copy of your data available 24/7, and you need to make sure that it's compliant as well. So all those things are being taken care by Veeam. Veeam is almost a number one product when it comes to the cloud data management platform. It has various products. It has the integrations available with the Microsoft Azure platform. You don't have to worry about your data. Now, keeping in mind, we have created some plan which is for the partners. This is Office 365 plus Veeam plans. So if you are using Office 365, this is basically for a partner. So your cost would be $700 per year, and this is the breakdown of the cost. We will share this slides with all of you. So if you see in the bottom, your cost is approximately $664, or including the 10 licenses of Veeam Backup Office 365 plus 1 TB storage of Azure Blob plus 100 GB per month bandwidth provided by Azure. Means it's a complete bundle solution wherein your cost is $664. Redington will give you 69.70 of discount plus couple of other partner profits which Redington, as a team from Azure side and from Veeam side, you will receive, right? So what is it? See guys, in $700 for 10 users with 1 TB of storage from Azure Blob side, you are getting everything secured, right? So what you can do, you can create a virtual machine on premise, place it onto an Azure blob using Veeam, wherein I'll show you the demo how you can keep a copy of your Office 365 data on premise as well as on Azure blob, and you are making sure and you are justifying the 3-2-1 rule. So this is something which is very important. It's being used by a couple of partners. So you can also utilize those promo features, these promo plans. This will gives you a better understanding. This will also give you a margin on which everything is working on. So this bundle and everything can work the same way it was working before. Then Veeam on Azure on new platform with the version 10. This is for the existing guys who are already using Veeam. If the guy is using Veeam backup replication, the version 10 which is being launched by Veeam in February, mid of February, with this what you can do, you can keep a copy of your backup free of cost on Azure Blob. From Veeam side, you don't need any other license. The only prerequisite is that you need to have version 10 enabled. The version 10 has a feature wherein you can keep a backup copy onto an Azure Blob. So this is for those guys who already have an existing Veeam end customer database. The guy can pitch Azure blob storage. Here also you can see the cost of 1 TB Azure storage is $258, and then we are giving 100 GB per month bandwidth, which is $206. So the total cost for 1 year is again the same. So this is wherein the existing Veeam customers can utilize Azure blob features, and they can kind of maybe tell your end customers to safeguard your data in Azure blob using the same Veeam software. If they are having an active support, why not leverage the cloud Azure cloud features, right? Now quickly let me go to the demo. I will share my screen. So first I'll show you Office 365 demo, how you can configure the Office 365 with the Azure block. So if you see, this is my Azure. So this is my Veeam backup for Office 365. If I'll open up this console, this is the latest console, which is version 4. If you see, this is how it looks like. If you go to help and support about, this is the latest version, which is Microsoft Office 365 version 4.00, right? So here I just wanted to show you one option, which is backup infrastructure object storages. So here you can see you can add an object storage, right? Let me name anything. So here you can see you get different options, right? Here you can add Microsoft Azure blob storage. So in my case, I have already added one. So let me show you how can we add an Azure blob storage. Okay, I have just clicked on next since it's already being added. What it asks, see, I have not created any side to side VPN. This tool is installed in my laptop and my laptop has an internet connection. From there, what is it asking? It's just asking a username and password. So if you see in that username and password, what is it? It's Microsoft Azure storage. So if I do this, what have I done? I have just uh, presented the username and the key which is being provided by Microsoft. Right? Once you do this, just click on OK. Automatically, when you click on next, you can see the container and the folder which you have created. By yourself also, you can create that. This container is sitting in Microsoft Azure blob storage. Automatically, it had detected it. Once you click on finish, this will be visible here like this. You can see the path is Azure blob storage. It's sitting, this is the entire path wherein my Azure blob storage is. Now you need to create an rule. You need to create something called scale out backup repository in Veeam. So to enable your blob storage integration, you need to create a scale out backup repository. In my case, I have already created one. Let me edit this and I'll show you what all options you will see. Name your storage, then this would be your backup proxy, and this would be the primary path wherein first your backup is happening. Yeah, first your backup is happening on premise, then it should go to your blob. So here in this path it is happening, my primary backup is happening. Then you can see it is offload backup data to the object storage. So here you get a list of object storages. So here in my case, because it's already being utilized, that's why it's being grayed out. You can see this test is my blob storage, which is sitting in Azure. And yes, guys, you can also encrypt this. While sending your data onto Azure blob, if you want to enable encryption, Veeam can do an encryption as well. Veeam uses AES 256-bit algorithm to do the encryption. Right, so means your data sitting in Azure is 100% safeguarded from ransomware attacks and all. So then you just click on next. Here you are defining the retention policy for how long you want to keep the data. Remember, we have talked about the scalability in Azure. You can infinitely scale your Azure blob infrastructure. So if you want to keep your data, let's say for 25 years, don't worry guys, keep it for 25 years or keep forever. Microsoft Azure will give you 100% guarantee that the data which you are backing up, there won't be any space issues. You can scale up, scale out at any point of time, right? Just click on finish. Once you do this, after that you are done with it. Do your backup, you create your policies, automatically everything will be taken care by Veeam Backup Office 365. So if you see in the backup infrastructure, this is your repository. That's it, guys. See how simple is it? Couple of clicks and you are done. I have not done any routing between Microsoft Azure and on-premise backup server. Everything was automatic. It's just the username and password I have used in which is being provided by Microsoft, and it's very easy, right? So guys, the total purpose of showing you this is to make you understand that you can justify, you can create your backup infrastructure in such a way using public cloud platforms that you don't have to spend much at the initial stage, right? Everything you can do it, everything is ready made, everything is just that you need to design your solution in such a way that the partner, the end customer, the vendor, all the technologies which you are using can be utilized in such a way that the end customer is being benefited from it. So in this solution, in this testing of the feature, you can see that I am doing a backup on premise first, yeah, which is Office 365. Then I'm keeping a copy onto an Azure blob. And to do all those things, I have not spent much, right? It's only $700 which we are talking about for the 10 users of Office 365, right? And the user, just imagine $700 for an year and his entire Office 365 infrastructure is secured. He has justified 3 to 1 rule. He has lots of restoration scenarios. He can restore a single email using Office 365, etc., etc. So the purpose of this feature to show you that how easy it is to configure Veeam backup Office 365 in Azure Blob Storage. So this is about the Office 365. I wanted to show you another feature for Veeam backup replication version 10. Right, so let me show you. This is one of the virtual machine running in my laptop again. Herein I have installed Veeam backup replication 10. If you see the version, so this is the prerequisite. This is for the existing guys who are already using Veeam backup replication and they have an active support. So if they have upgraded to the latest version, which is Veeam backup replication 10, they can utilize this feature free of cost, right? So what is that feature? You come to your backup infrastructure. uh, Sorry, it's inventory. So in inventory, if you see, I have added all my workloads. So if you come to your backup infrastructure and you see something called backup repository, right? This option comes free of cost. So you click on add repository. I believe most of you are already aware what is backup repository. Backup repository is the place in Veeam wherein we are storing your backed up data. If you click on add backup repository, you see four types of tabs. So at the bottom you can see object storage. If you click on object storage, Veeam does an automatic integration with Azure Blob storages. So you just click onto an Azure Blob storage. So here you can see Azure Blob storage. Click on Azure Blob storage. This, guys, everything is all free of cost. From Veeam side, we are not taking any cost from you. All is included in the version 10 feature. Clicked on next. Here you can see it's asking for credential. You just need to provide the username and the password, which is account and shared key provided by Microsoft, and you are done with it. Again, I have not created any side-to-side VPN. Veeam is taking care of everything. Veeam is making sure that the data is safeguarded, right? Once, since I have already added one blob storage, let me edit this. Uh, yeah, you can see the path here. It's in Azure blob. So this is how it looks like. The account, which is username and password. Clicked on next. Automatically it will search for that container which was presented. So it will take couple of seconds to look in Azure. So here you can see I have created one container inside my Azure blob storage, and this is the folder. You can put a quota also if you want. If you have certain hard limit on your blob, just click on next, finish. So your blob storage has been added into the Veeam console without doing any fuss of it, right? How many clicks I did? I think 3 or 4 clicks. I have done 4 clicks. My Veeam Azure blob storage provided by Microsoft is already added here. You can see, right? Now, to use this feature, I need to create one scale out backup repository. In my case, I have already created my scale out backup repository. I'll show you the options. So just click on scale out backup repository, add scale out backup repository, name it, click on next. Here you need to add your on-premise backup repository, which is your performance here. So this is my on-premise backup repository. When I click on next, here this is your data locality, click on next. This is your capacity tier. Guys, this is the new feature which is being included in version 10. So from here, this list, you can see Veeam blob is the Azure blob storage provided by Microsoft Azure. And here you can keep a copy backups to the object storage as soon as they are created. Means as soon as you are done with your primary backup on premise, the data has been written. Again, a copy of that backup would be pushed to Veeam blob storage without any additional configuration. You can use this to keep a copy of your backup, and on the bottom also, guys, you can see another option called move. So in the first option, you are keeping a copy of your data. If you are choosing the second option, you are moving your data from on-premise storage to Microsoft Azure Blob Storage. You can utilize this feature for the archiving purpose, for the longer term of retention of the purpose, right? So everybody is already aware of the fact that if you talk about the blob storage, I would say that blob storage is the cheapest storage available today in the cloud world, right? So means if you are maintaining a tape infrastructure, it would be easier and cheaper to maintain a blob storage infrastructure compared to tape, right? So when you are keeping your data onto the tapes and all, and then you are moving those tapes from one place to another place, then you are restoring, there are lots of hassles involved in it. To replace that thing with the Azure Blob Storage is the most affordable, easiest, and cheapest way available. So you can utilize that feature, right? That after how many days you want to keep your data available on Azure Blob Storage, so that you have a copy of your data available in Azure Blob, right, guys? So these options are very important, guys, when you design a backup solution. And with today's technology which are available, especially the integration part with the public cloud, with the Azure Blob Cloud, it's very easy for Veeam to justify that 3-to-1 rule, guys. These are the features which comes along with the product, right? These all are free of cost features which are provided by Veeam. So Veeam does not lock you to utilize those features. Guys, utilize those features, make use of it, and configure your design your infrastructure, design your backup infrastructure in such a way which is cost efficient, which is highly available, which justifies 3-to-1 rule. There are different level of scenarios for the restorations would be available. And the last thing, in the same tab you can see the encryption part is also there. You can obviously encrypt your data when you are offloading it to the Azure Blob Storage. So Veeam always takes care of the ransomware part. Veeam always takes care that the data which you are backing up using Veeam is protected. Yeah, it's encrypted. Nobody else will have that data. So with this, I would say that I have shown you most of the features of Veeam, especially the public cloud integration features, which you can utilize while configuring your infrastructure. So from my side, that's it. Let me see if I have any questions onto the Q&A section. So I believe I have answered most of the questions. And guys, if you have any other question, you can mail me or Shoaib. If it is related with Azure, Shoaib can answer that question. If it is related with Veeam, I can answer that question. I'm sure everyone will have a recording of this available to them along with our email IDs. So if you have any questions, guys, send me an email. I will be more than happy to assist you with it. Once again, thank you for your time and hope everyone is safe. Stay safe, stay home. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Sunny. Thank you so much. That would be all. We'll be ending the session now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.